This week's coffee is going to be Mexico La Yerba natural process. Welcome to episode 154. My name is still Steve Layton, and as I said already at the start, this week's going to be Mexico La Yerba natural process. So this is a first for us. It's the first time in about 6 years that I've stocked a Mexican coffee, and this is pretty much with good reason. I have an admission to make. My name is Stephen Layton still, and I don't like Mexican coffee. Never have. I've tried to like it in the past. I remember us stocking a Mexican Santa Rita Pearl. Desperately wanted to love it, and it was a good coffee, but it certainly was not something we would stock now. You learn as you go along about what coffees to stock and what not to stock for sure. I'd love to love Mexico because it's a very progressive country, very easy place to go visit, but everything I've tasted from there, and I mean everything, has sucked. So why have we got one on in my mug? Well, I was presented with a whole heap of samples a few months back, and we were sent to cup them. And always here, if samples come in, we cup everything. So everything that comes through the door, we will cup, and we'll cup them blind. This way, any preconceptions you have, for instance, hating Mexican coffees, can be left at the door, and the cupping table can make that decision. And the cupping table can tell me whether I like them or dislike them. So, like in the past, this has served us pretty well. Many samples passing over, many samples rejected, and you know, it's kind of kept all of the rubbish out from the good stuff. But then something strange happened. I cupped this, and I found 3 of them I like. Yeah, I was confused from liking none to liking 3. I made the guys down in the roastery re-roast them so we could all recup them, and we all agreed we love these 3. So. The 3 that we've got is this one that we're here. There's a washed one that I'm going to taste on here and talk about, but subscribers won't unfortunately have it this week. The other one we probably won't see. I've bought it with a very specific reason in mind. Very similar to this La Yerba, but it's to go in part of a blend that we'll be seeing in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, exciting. 3 all of a sudden. So, a little bit about the coffee, I guess. It's from the Nayarit region, near to the town of La Yerba, and comes from a small group of cooperative growers located in the volcano of San Juan. The lots we looked at were separated, were cupped, and then given a barcode so they could be traced back to where they'd come from. And this gave us extra cupping information, gave us extra information about where the coffees have grown. I'm showing a map now on the left there where the coffee was actually come from in Mexico. And we found lots of cool information, as you'll see on the iPad there, of what, you know, extra information from the farm. I don't think it's a coincidence that I've disliked Mexicans in the past, but I've liked these, because when you've got that extra care and broken down into small micro lots, I think that's always going to be a win. So I think there's a good reason why we like these, and I really think there may be something we can learn for other countries. So anyway, time for snozzer in the bowl. And for those who have said that that looks like a phallic symbol, you're all sick people. You're very ill. So, snozzer in. So, the first thing that hits you is cherry. And not the cherry that we had last week, but this is like black cherry. And also, it's time to get the funky bus out because we're all going to Funky Town. We're all on a journey. Looking at you, Andrew. So, time for the funky bus. Okay, I'll stop being geeky and silly. So, before we go to taste the coffee, it's nearly time to wheel out the Wheel of Death. Do you like my Wheel of Death movement? That's the international sign for Wheel of Death. It's time to announce the winner of the Clever Dripper swap that we had last week. Awesome entries. Thank you very, very much for everybody who put down things to swap. It was most amusing. I had to randomly pick it out, and it was a pin in the screen. Not literally a pin, but that one. And it was Colin Morgan, who's going to swap me a bottle of Damson Gin. I've been drinking it already. So thank you very much, Colin. Pop me an email and we'll sort out that swap. Thank you to everybody else who entered. Cheesecake would have been lovely, thank you. Marmalade, Nigel, I would have loved your marmalade. Christmas card design, thank you very, very much. That would have been amazing. Photos, clever people watching my mug. Sir Leslie, I love Sir Leslie. Sir Leslie's comments are amazing. He comments on the forum and he comments on In My Mug. It's a pseudonym, hiding, but he offered a Chairman Mao watch, which I thought was, if I was choosing, I think I may have gone for the watch. But yes, yeah, anyway, go look at the comments, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, the Wheel of Death comes out, and this week it's going to be Cantan. So, anybody who actually thinks that these aren't random, by the way, they are completely. I only have 14 of them, but the 14 will be completely randomly picked each time. Anybody who doesn't believe me, talk to Has Been Roaster on Twitter. I phoned him up yesterday when he was down in the roaster. He said, give me a number between 1 and 14, and he gave me 6. 6 was just the order that they were in the file, so it was the Cantan. But it is completely random, so I have no say over what I'm going to get, which I think makes it more interesting and makes me try the coffee in a way I might not necessarily try. There are some interesting ones in there too. So Cantan is a single cup brewer made by Kalita. It's light. It's great, it's very easy to travel with, produces a single cup and then is disposed of. I think the best thing about it is the paper it uses. I would love to get hold of some big sheets of this paper and play with it in things like the Chemex and in the Kalita Wave and stuff like that. But yes, the paper's very interesting. So anyway, let's go taste some coffee. So here goes the espresso first, and straight away on the aromatics you can smell this cherry coming through again, but definitely the funky bus is coming again. Oh my. As I say, I was wholeheartedly expecting to hate this coffee, but I don't. It's absolutely amazing. For a natural, it's got a beautiful, beautiful dark chocolate. It's got an amazing cherry, but a beautiful creaminess on the end. And I know I'm going to get that in the Cantan coffee in a moment as well. But in the espresso, nowhere is that black cherry more prominent than there. Yeah, maybe some of the other things are a little bit more muted, but in espresso, like, tell me there's not a black cherry. Tell me there's not, because I don't believe you. It's one of those very obvious descriptors. Like the time back when I had Sidikalang and it was very obviously a banana. You know, this is very obviously black cherry. So I'm just going to have another sip of this actually before I move on, because I really, really like this coffee. Actually, before I go on to that, because it's still just kind of dripping through the last bits, somebody emailed me last week, I think it was last week or might be the week before, and said that, how can you love every coffee that comes on In My Mug? And it's a very interesting question. We only stock coffees that I love. I do like them all, really, honestly, sincerely love them all. Otherwise, we won't stock them. Even the ones that I'm not so keen on, so I'm thinking kind of things like Monsoon Malabar and stuff like that, that really aren't my bag. They're the best of origin. They're the best of what we can find out there. And at the certain times, there are times that I enjoy those coffees. I will taste every single one of the coffees that we have. But anyway, you don't want to talk about me. So there's the Cantan that's finished dripping through. Now, I've decided that I'm going to start recycling mugs. So this was, I can't remember who gave me this one. If you're watching, please tell me who gave me this one. I have so many mugs, I'm really bad actually. But so straight away you smell that cherry again. Cherry on the grounds, cherry on the espresso, cherry on the brewed coffee. I'm guessing there's cherry in this. Oh my. Now this is where my favourite descriptor of the year comes from, and it really is my favourite descriptor of the year. Black Forest Gatto. It's like getting in a time machine and going back to the 70s, 80s, a blast from childhood, because you've got the black cherry, you've got the chocolate. with the brewed coffee, the creaminess is massive. I mean, it's like really exaggerated. It is like Black Forest Gatto in a cup. I hope you guys are getting this, because I felt so smart on this descriptor. Like, ran downstairs to the boys yesterday, and we've cooked it a few times, and I've had this idea, but I cooked it and just went, I'm going to give you this Chemex of this stuff, but just think Black Forest Gatto. And they shouted up to me in my office, just like, we hate you, because it really is Black Forest Gatto. So I said we've got a washed version of this coffee. Now, the washed version isn't going to make it onto In My Mug. I'm fairly sure of that, because we don't have a lot of it, and I think it's going to be fairly popular. So I am going to just talk about it here very briefly. So only in the Cantan, not in the espresso. Another recycled mug, a knuckle duster. Now, I do think I remember the... Oh, actually, you did give me this. Again, I'm rubbish, sorry, I can't remember. So, the washed coffee. You should really try this one. If you enjoy the natural, you should try this one, sure, because it shows you how different the coffee is. It's from a slightly different cooperative, but what you get with this one is you get... The best thing I can say about it is like a Brazilian. And those who know me know that I love Brazilians. It is a beautifully sweet chocolate. Again, the creamy edge is there, but super clean, like super clean. Very transparent, a gorgeous cup of coffee. And again, very different, but you can see the similarities in there. So, 2 for the price of 1 this week. Right, going to wrap up. Thank you very much for all of the feedback on this new format. I'm really enjoying it. We may be mixing it up in a couple of weeks. So yes, life is too short for bad coffee.